undefeatedboxing.com.
Eddie Hearn habla de la próxima pelea del 4 de mayo, donde estos dos grandes gladiadores, Saul y Canelo Álvarez y Jaime Munguia, se enfrentarán en una pelea por los 4 cinturones. Aquí las palabras de el gran Eddie Hearn acerca de lo que dijo de Saul, Canelo Álvarez y Jaime Munguia, en exclusiva solamente aquí en 505 Boxing.
How does it feel, first of all, being back in Sheffield after so many nights abroad?
Yeah, good. I mean, I think it's a great card. I think the 5 fights on TV are all 50-50 fights. I think Dalton's got a massive step up. I think people are probably, sometimes they just presume it's a fight that Dalton's going to win, but actually if you look at the step up and the size of the step up, you know, really, as I said, the toughest test on paper so far has been Sam Maxwell. And with all due respect to him, Zepeda is levels and levels above Sam Maxwell. So sometimes you bring a fighter over and it's a clever bit of matchmaking, but it's never a clever bit of matchmaking when you're in with a puncher. And Zepeda is a huge puncher, and Dalton is exciting. Sometimes he gets hit a bit too much as well, and I think it's a massive test. I think people also are probably missing out on the fact that, you know, being for the WBC silver title, we all know that that belt is likely to become vacant in the next 6 months, and I think there's a very good chance Dalton could get a shot against Sandor Martin for the vacant belt.
Eddie, just this week we had Canelo Munguia, the press conference, they faced off, the fight's official. What do you make of that fight for Canelo?
It's a good fight. You know, we talked to him about doing that fight. I think PBC obviously had a contract with him and made him a good offer. Once we got the fight on DAZN as well, you know, they like their position in the fight, and I think it's a good fight. I think, I don't think it really got the excitement yesterday that the fight will deliver. I do think it's the first time in a long time that Canelo has fought a young, hungry, undefeated fighter who I think will give it everything. And I think the style will suit Canelo, and I think that's the kind of fight that he wants to be in. Someone that actually comes to fighting rather than moving around, and, you know, I think it'll be a good fight.
Who do you favour in that fight?
Always favour Canelo, you know, but I do think it'll be very competitive. It's just when you get to that stage in a career, like, I know, having spoken to him, how hungry he still is and how much he still wants it, but sometimes your body doesn't allow you to do things that, and sooner or later you could lose a fight that you're not supposed to lose. I don't think this will be the case, but that's what happens as the career progresses.
One of the opponents that a lot of fans were clamoring for was David Benavidez. We asked Canelo at the presser about David Benavidez. He said, if they make me an offer for 150 million to 200 million for that fight, I'll take it. What do you make of that comment?
I think it was probably a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because I know Saul will fight anybody, but he also knows that that's a big fight, and it is a massive fight. It's one of the biggest in boxing. And if you pay Saul the right money, he will take the fight. Whether that's 150 might be a little bit adventurous, but also I think, you know, his comments about the hydration, I think that's in his mind as well. You know, you're talking about a guy that will hydrate somewhere between 25 and 30 pounds. So he's not going to be a million miles away from 200 pounds in the ring. He'll have at least a stone on Canelo. So it's a tough fight. And yeah, the thing is, I don't think Saul really gives a shit what people think. You know, he's done pretty well for himself, and he's kind of also earned the right to fight who he wants. But I know he's not afraid to fight anyone, and hopefully that fight gets made, because it's a very big fight.
Yeah, in other news, Keith Thurman got injured, had to pull out of that fight. Now Tim Tszyu's fighting Sebastian Fundora, the new main event, still on pay-per-view. What do you make of that?
Wild. I mean, to think that Tim Tszyu against Sebastian Fundora is on pay-per-view is mad. By the way, I don't mind the fight. I hated the Thurman fight. So I think Keith Thurman has zero appetite for boxing, and maybe that's why he's out of the fight. And Tim Tszyu's really exciting, but no one knows who Tim Tszyu is in America, and Fundora's just got sparked. I mean, how that fight can be for a unification after he's just got knocked clean out, I don't really know, but good luck to him.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big opportunity for Tim Tszyu, who I do think is really exciting. I would like to see Tim Tszyu against Israel Madrimov in a unification. I think that'd be a great fight.
Since Terence Crawford has put that to the WBO that he wants to fight the winner of this fight, right? Whoever holds the WBO strap. If Terence Crawford fights one of these guys, Tim Tszyu or Fundora, how do you see that fight going? Do you think he'll be that champion?
I mean, Tim Tszyu will beat Fundora. Tim Tszyu can fight. Yeah. He can fight. I mean, it's not, you know, I don't think he beats Terence Crawford, but he's a strong young boy who's, you know, very exciting. There's money in Australia for those kind of fights. It's just that Terence Crawford, you know, the numbers that he wants for those fights, I don't really know how you generate it on a pay-per-view that just doesn't rate. But it's a good fight. Crawford too is a very good fight.
Yeah.
I want to jump in. Conor Benn, I want to ask about his career and how that's going, and also, is it going to be Manny Pacquiao next? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, a lot depends on where he's going to fight, you know, and we want to fight in the UK, but we'll find out soon whether that's going to be possible. The Manny Pacquiao fight is there to be done. We know the numbers needed to make the fight, and it's very makeable. You know, I think Eubank, I'm not getting involved in that anymore, but Frank Smith is, and still very keen to make that fight. Kell Brook, other fights as well, but our aim really over the next couple of weeks is just to get those fights in position and then decide where they're going to take place, because obviously money changes depending on where the fights take place, but you know, keen to box in June or July.
So talking about the Manny Pacquiao situation, I want to move over just a little bit to the side. Do you think it's right that Conor fights him? I think Conor's young, hungry, vicious, and could potentially do a lot of damage, the same as I see the Jake Paul Tyson, Mike Tyson fight. Do you think that's really...
Mike Tyson's 58 years old. He hasn't had a competitive fight for over 20 years. And Manny Pacquiao fought 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that, and has been fighting these, you know, exhibition fights as well. Also, Conor Benn has never beaten an elite world level fighter and just boxed Pete Dobson, who Manny Pacquiao would destroy, and didn't destroy him. So it would be, even as a faded Manny Pacquiao, which he definitely is, the toughest fight of Conor's career so far. And I'm very glad that he's not a prime Manny Pacquiao, because he was one of the greatest fighters of his generation.
If Dalton wins this weekend, is the Azim fight still on the cards for after?
I mean, we've been told by Boxer that Azim is not taking the fight, but they haven't pulled out the purse bids yet. I guess because they've got a fight week next week, and because of Saturday night, that they'll pull out today or tomorrow, because it sort of solves the questions. But if they don't, I just don't know what the play is. If Dalton wins on Saturday, we're looking at world level, not Adam Azim, but we'll 100% still take the fight, because we're very confident we win it, and it's a big fight commercially. Still does a good gate, does good viewing figures, but they just, you know, the only way they might take that fight is if Dalton got beat or got dropped and scraped a decision on Saturday night. But if he wins in style, there is absolutely no way Adam Azim will fight.
Which fight are you looking forward to the most at the weekend?
Campbell Hatton against Jimmy J.
It's going to be a scrap.
I mean, it's like, you know, and I've got to be honest, I'm really nervous for Campbell, because imagine all that pressure where really, if he gets beat on Saturday night, obviously his career's not over, but the trajectory is completely different. You're losing for the Central Area title. He's 14-0. So you can't say he hasn't had the apprenticeship, he hasn't had the opportunity to learn, but sometimes you're just not good enough.